everybody, and welcome to our Bachelorette Live. We are here to break down fantasy suites and leave our predictions for next week's 3-hour season finale. As always, I am your host, Zachary Reality, joined by the lovely, talented, amazing, smart, dedicated, passionate Bachelor fan, Gianna Gravelisi. Gianna, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. And that introduction, wow, Zach. I mean, you just made my day, my month, my year. I couldn't be happier after that.
Okay, I'm glad. I mean, I just want everyone to know how amazing you are because you have had a really tough month, and the last thing we want to do is make you feel any worse. So, we really are here to talk about your favorite show, my favorite show, The Bachelorette, and we have a lot to break into, and we're going to be giving some funny commentary. We got jokes prepared, we got memes prepared. We're going to be laughing throughout this entire live. And before we get into it, make sure you guys are subscribed to our channel. Ring the bell so you never miss out. Give the video a thumbs up. Comment below your thoughts. We want to hear from you guys. We love interacting with you guys. And we got to get into this crazy, crazy episode. Gianna, what were your thoughts on last night's fantasy suite dates?
I mean, it was a nail biter. I know like you and I are always predicting what's going to happen and we kind of have a feeling of what's going to happen, or maybe we've seen spoilers, but last night I was honestly at the edge of my seat, or should I say my lovely bed right next to me, because
Ooh.
it was hard. I mean, like Michelle really was in love with all three of these guys, and it shows. It's not like seasons we've seen in the past where she's hasn't let a guy into the fantasy suite, or she's denied a guy or sent a guy packing after the daytime portion of the date. It's like she went into a fantasy suite with all three of these men, and like we thought one thing was going to happen and another thing happened. So I want to say, after a very dry, not so dramatic season, this was probably like one of the more intense episodes we've had yet. And so I can only wait and see what happens during next week's 3-hour finale.
Well, so next week will be like 2 hours of like meeting the parents, the dates, the proposal, if there is one, and like a dramatic breakup, which is going to be so exciting. We've been waiting for that. And then the last hour will be after the final rose. So we'll get to see Michelle and whoever she picks kind of, give us the updates. And maybe she'll face both of the guys on after the final rose, or maybe not. Because sometimes the third place person doesn't get airtime. Like I remember last season with Matt James, Bree, I think she went. Maybe they did show her, but like sometimes the third person gets cut. So I don't even know if we'll get Joe, but I feel like we should get Joe like an interview because he did have such a big storyline throughout the season. But next week is going to be really fun to kind of wrap things up. And I'm just excited to see what happens with this season because this season has not been the most dramatic. I will say the Men Tell All last week was truly insane. I think that was my favorite episode of the entire season. There was so much drama in that. But this episode, we had fantasy suites, and the final three men, Brandon, Joe, and Nate, headed to Mexico with Michelle for their fantasy suites, and this would be the first time they would have a minute or even like the whole night with Michelle in an intimate setting with no cameras involved. Kaitlyn started off the episode with Michelle having a little girl chat, while Tayshia let the guys know how serious this week was going to be. Gianna, who would you rather be in that situation? Would you be the Kaitlyn giving the advice, or would you be the Tayshia coming in delivering the drama? And like, which one would I be?
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say I'd love to be the Tasha, but like you deliver the drama. You are Zachary Reality. I mean, what else can we expect from you besides drama and gossip and all the situations happening? So you'd be the Tasha and I'd be the Caitlyn in this situation. And honestly, let's just put that in the universe right now because we've been saying this. I think you and I need to host some show in the Bachelor franchise together. So we are the next Tasha and Caitlyn. Here we are putting it out
Yeah,
there.
I mean we're here hosting a Bachelor after show right now, so we are doing the thing. We're here good together. What would your advice be for Michelle if you were Caitlyn in that scenario?
I would, I would tell Michelle, this is, you're on a reality show, but like you are literally about to get engaged. Like this is a life decision. I know Caitlyn's had her experiences with men and engagements. I would like share a little bit of my story with her. And I would just kind of like slap her into actual reality a bit and been like, hey, when the cameras are cut, you really got to ask those deep, deep questions because, like, you've only known these guys for a couple weeks, and it's like a lot of the show is producer driven. I could never say any of this on camera, mind you. Like, they would fire me.
Well, they could
But,
just cut
I
it
would just be
out.
like, they could cut it out, or they would totally fire me. And I'm afraid of Bachelor Nation. They have like a government hold on everybody in the franchise and what they can say or not. But yeah, I'd be like, hey, this is real. This is real life. Like, you should really think about what you're about to
Figure this
do,
out.
girlfriend. But good luck.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Caitlyn said during one of her interviews that like she would just kind of like break the fourth wall, whatever, especially during Katie's season, and then like they kind of just edit and air whatever they want because Kaitlyn and Tayshia aren't there to be like personalities on the show. They're really just there to like fill in those host positions. So I mean, you really could just say whatever. You just want to kind of give Michelle the real truth. And there was one interesting thing Caitlyn said. She was like, "I wish I did this during my season," or she like kind of brought it back, and I was like, that is why Caitlyn and Tayshia are there because they can relate to Michelle and they know exactly what advice to give her. So we gotta always give a shout out to Kaitlyn and Tayshia because this could be their last season hosting, and we'll talk more about that in the next couple of weeks based on how the rest of the season plays out. But let's get into these one-on-one dates because Brandon got the first date of the week. He put out everything on the line. He said that he was falling in love with Michelle. He would do anything for her at the end. Brandon's whole thing is that he has been all in like a smitten kitten. Gianna, what did you think of Brandon's date and their connection?
I mean, they are so cute together. They really are. And I just think that Brandon, like you said, he's always been so smitten. He is like obsessed with Michelle. I mean, if you think about like even in your own personal life and like our relationships, like you want a guy that is all in on you, like absolutely obsessed with you, treats you like a queen, like calls you queen, like worships the ground you walk on. Like this is Brandon. Like he checks off all of those boxes in like an ideal partner. And like I just again I think he is so adorable. Their date was so cute. They did the horseback riding, right? I'm not getting that incorrect. They did
Yeah,
the horseback riding.
I
It
think
was just
so.
funny
Yeah.
because it was supposed to be this like romantic stroll, like his very first time out of the country, and the horses were just like going in opposite directions, and Michelle was like cracking jokes. So that was another thing. Like they're always having fun in their relationship too. So I think it was so cute. I knew obviously they were going to go into the fantasy suite together. Then they got in like a little food fight. Again, am I mistaking that
Oh
with
my
somebody else? I'm
God.
pretty sure
No, that was
they
Brandon,
got
and
in
that
a
was
food fight.
disgusting. Like, I don't. I
Yeah,
mean,
I was.
sh- it was cute. Like,
Yeah,
I
no,
get how it's like romantic. Where I don't know if they were told to do that or not, but like, if no one, don't throw food at me. Like, especially in the bed. Like, I mean,
no,
granted, they don't have
in
to
a
make the
cozy
bed.
bed.
Like, they have. Granted, like they have people working at the hotel. Like, whatever. Also, did you notice? I mean, I felt like Michelle bringing the guys in the fantasy suites. I felt like they were going to the same suite each night. Like they were zooming in on this
Yes.
like on the building, and it looked like they were going to the same room. I'm like, is she bringing them all into the same bed?
I don't know if it was like, because I thought that too. And I'm just like, is it a hotel villa type of thing? And like,
Yeah.
there are different rooms, but the beds all look the exact same and the rooms maybe set up like just a little bit differently. But I know
Hmm.
like, like their room had a hot tub, another room had a hot
Oh,
tub. So
true.
I was like, I
And a
was getting the
pool.
same
Nate had a
feeling too.
pool.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't, maybe they were just similar rooms, but regardless, yeah, I don't know how I felt about that food fight. But I also just need to say, like, anytime a guy came back, it was just like hysterical. Like, I was audibly laughing because it was so, like, you could cut the tension with a knife in that room. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy when they came back from when Brandon came back from his date the next day. He came back to Nate and Joe, and obviously they have to kind of have those conversations because they're being filmed. They're not filmed 24/7. This isn't like Jersey Shore or something where like contestants are in a house. So they're really only having these filming scenes when they're in the living area. So of course the producers are like setting it up so Brandon can come in, he can tell Joe and Nate about his date, and it's just so awkward because now they're like sleeping with Michelle, they're having this overnight, and it's just like things probably went down. I'm not saying Michelle like, did the D with all of them or any of them. We really don't know because there was no cameras. And it's not like I guess our business either, even though like we're reviewing the show, but it's also just like the possibility that she did go farther is just it just makes things so awkward for the final three guys, and it got even more awkward throughout the episode. Actually, those were probably my favorite moments of the episode, when like Brandon comes back and then Joe comes back and then Nate comes back. It's just so awkward. You can really cut the tension with a knife. But as far as like Brandon's overall, like where do you think he stood after his date? Do you think he was like guaranteed to go to the top two, or do you think she just kind of had to feel things out with Joe and Nate still?
I genuinely think that she had to feel things out with Joe and Nate because Brandon was first, and I
Uh-huh.
firmly believe that if she was locked and loaded with Brandon, like I feel like she would have sent one of the guys home during the daytime portion. Like if she knew like that. I mean, I'm just putting myself in her shoes. If I went on a date with a guy and then like I knew I did like one of the other guys and then it like left the third one like I would be like, "Hey, buddy, go home actually." Cuz I again, like I said in the beginning, I really think she was in love with all three of them and I think she really had to bring them to the fantasy suite to figure it out and have those conversations off camera, which also I mean, you are Bachelor fanatic for forever, Bachelor
Mm-hmm.
connoisseur, Bachelor Nation king. I had to Google and be like, are they really off camera? And they are, but like producers are in the next room over, like basically like still listening and being like, what is happening in there? Like we need to get the tea so we know like what to do and like what to tell the other guys like when we go back type of thing. So they're not really left alone. They're still under surveillance, just off. The camera's not recording. So
They
I
have to
had
be
to I
really
had to look at that.
quiet. I mean,
Mm.
if the producers are really staying up all night, putting their ear up against the door, like that's just creepy. Like give them some privacy and some space, and like maybe they were like hiding, like whispering. But I mean, either way, like not being on camera, not being mic'd up, like you can learn so much about a person. So I'm glad that she had that time with all three of the guys. She decided to take it, which is something we don't see every season. Not everyone gets those fantasy suites. Sometimes the lead will send one or two people home before. Like every ending is really different because the emotions get so high. But Michelle went through with all of the three dates, and the second one-on-one date went to Joe. And Joe's storyline this season, or going into this episode, was that he's been shy, less outspoken than the other guys. Michelle has concerns that he hasn't been as vulnerable and open. They spent the date together ziplining and expressed those concerns. Joe ultimately said he was falling in love with Michelle after their overnight date. Michelle said everything could change after the overnight date. Joe is her slice of home, but it is something about the Coleman men that are just a little bit shy and introverted. Do you think that, Joe being shy and introverted is helping him in this process? Because I feel like he really is behind the other two guys, and obviously we know what ended up happening, but do you think because Joe is inward that is what ultimately led to him going home? Or do you think that like that's just who he is and Michelle just needs to kind of accept that if she wants to be with him?
I don't know if that's the main reason that he went home. I definitely think it played a factor in why he went home because I believe that, everyone has their love languages. There's five love
Yeah.
languages, but I think, we all adopt a little bit of all of those. One of them is words of affirmation. And I know me in my relationships, I'm the type that likes to hear, like, are you happy to be with me? Like, do you love me in this moment? Like, how are you feeling right now? Like, I need that verbal communication. And it's okay that Joe is introverted. I understand that that's how he's raised. And a lot of families, don't like really teach their kids how to be outspoken like that because they lead by example and they weren't like that. But I feel like that was something that was hard for Michelle to accept about Joe. That's what I believe. If again, putting myself in her shoes, like he was more on the quiet side, and me, Zach, I
Mm.
am the farthest thing from quiet. So I believe that like being also outspoken and out there, like they just weren't on the same level when it came to that.
My whole thing is that if Joe and Michelle were meant to be, they would have connected in Minnesota. Like they've known of each other their
Yeah.
whole lives playing basketball. They had mutual friends. Like They even DM'd at one point, and then he ended up ghosting her like a year before the show. So he could have reached out a month or 2 months or 3 months later, because he did say he wasn't in the best place at that time. So I almost feel like they were never meant to be together. And a lot of people were saying this online. Let me know what you think. People were saying that Michelle did this on purpose. She wanted to be a petty queen. She did not like being ghosted by Joe. She dragged him along just to break his heart and be like, bitch. What do you think about that? What do you have to say about that?
I I honestly don't know if that's true, just because I mean, again, like we don't know Michelle on a personal level, but just from watching her, I think that she's a classy queen. I don't think she's a
Yeah.
petty queen. So I I think it's a good theory, but I just don't think that that's true at all. I do believe that the whole ghosting thing and like them, I mean, I know in the beginning that there was rumors about her and Joe knowing each other prior to the show, and she said, no, this is the first time I'm really meeting all of you like one
They've
on one
met.
for the first time.
Yeah.
But I think that they knew of each other and were in the
Mhm.
same vicinity. It's like those people we went to high school with that we never like met one on one or had one on one time with, but we knew of them and like we've heard their name or maybe have been in the same room in a group setting. I think that that was the case with them. And like I said, the ghosting thing, I mean, if somebody ghosted me and then they came on a show like allegedly for me, I'd literally just be confused. Like I know that they talked it out, but I don't think that situation was ever resolved with them. So I'm just like, was the ghosting thing also a factor in why she sent him home? Like maybe she's like, if he was in a rough time back then and he shut me out, how is he going to react to me as a wife when he's going through a rough time in life? Is he going to shut me out again?
Uh-huh.
Type of thing. And maybe
Yeah.
that was a conversation in the fantasy suite that we didn't hear. And he's like, yeah, I shut people out when I'm going through it. And maybe Michelle just wasn't ready for that. Again, this is all speculation, you guys. So I don't know, but I think that that could have played a factor in him being sent home.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about what we think when we get to the rose ceremony, because Joe was sent home. So we'll talk a little bit about his exit and everything. But I do want to move on to Nate's date, because going into the date, Michelle's main concern is that she was more into Nate than Nate was into her, which is something we don't usually hear from the lead, especially at this point when you have, Brandon who's all in. It's like, why was she so concerned about Nate? But she was questioning Nate if he was ready for an engagement, is he ready for marriage, is he ready to be in love? Nate made it a point to say that he doesn't like to plan things in life because that would be a boring life. And I almost thought that Nate was kind of gaslighting her a little bit, like he wanted to have like 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And I don't even know what to make about Nate, because they have the strongest connection. Michelle's obsessed with Nate. The fact that she's even saying that verbally out loud, that she's so into him, really just shows that Nate is at the top of her list before Brandon, before Joe. But Nate just kind of comes with this like questions, like, is he really ready? Is he fully committed? Is he all about the competition? There's been something about Nate's grins. I don't know if you've been catching it. A lot of people online have been catching his little smirks. Like, he's just like, there's just something going on. He's just a little mischievous. What do you make of Nate and Michelle and their date?
I think in life, if you're attracted to men, we tend to go after the bad boys and those men that aren't, it's like you have these perfect men that check off all the boxes you could ever imagine: looks, personality, like the way that they treat you, everything. And then you have a guy that doesn't check off every single box, but for some reason, that's who you are just like wanting to like, and that's who you're obsessed with, and that's like where your connection is strongest. And I think it's like all part of this game we like to play in relationships. But I think that's exactly what's going on with Michelle and Nate here. Like their conversation on their date too was just like so weird. Like you said, Zach, like his or his response to her questions was just like, are you dancing around the question or are you like actually answering the question? Like she was asking him serious questions and he was kind of like going in circles. It was like he was reaching for an answer almost. So that just like
Mm-hmm.
is a red flag to me. And I don't know if Michelle was just kind of putting her horse blinders on because she's like, I love him. He's so hot. That's another thing. She's the only guy or Nate was the only guy that Michelle commented like on his looks. Like she's like, Nate is like smoking or whatever she said about him being
Uh-huh.
hot or something, which I'm like, clearly she's like head over heels for this guy. And like looks also, you know, some people they say looks matter in a relationship, other people say that they don't. I believe that again it plays a big factor in a relationship. You got to be
Uh-huh.
attracted to somebody physically, and I think that they have that physical connection overall that's like propelling their relationship, and that's why another reason I think their connection is so strong. But yeah, he scares me, period. Like I just am scared that he's gonna break her heart or just not be ready.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes like physical looks like happen, like the more you get to know someone, the more physically you can be attracted to them. But I think at this point, Michelle's just attracted to Nate, period. And like we all know Joe went home and like it just doesn't feel like she doesn't have that chemistry with any of the other guys. Like it really is no competition. Like I'm just ready to wrap this season up and like but like obviously we have to meet the parents next week, but Michelle and Nate ended up spending the night together, and the next morning when they woke up, Michelle's hair was definitely a little messy, and like when Nate came back to see Brandon and Joe, like he was smiling, he was smirking, which really made Brandon like nervous, and that's ultimately what led Brandon to interrupt the rose ceremony. So I don't know, we don't want to assume, but I mean, if anything, I think that Michelle and Nate definitely had the most fun in the fantasy suite. I think that's a safe thing to say. And it's interesting that Nate ended up going third. I don't know if Michelle like strategically got to choose or if the producers chose for her. But ultimately, they had a great time. They're definitely in love. I feel like they got to the same page. There is still a few things to figure out, which I think they'll figure out next week, especially when Nate meets Michelle's parents. But Brandon was the one that really started to overthink everything. And going into the rose ceremony, let's get there because there's only 3 guys, there's only 3 dates to review. Brandon ended up interrupting the rose ceremony before Michelle started, before she handed out the roses so that he can steal Michelle and talk to her. And what Brandon said is that if he leaves tonight, Michelle needs to know that he is in love with her, that he is all in, and like he just had to get all of those things off of his chest. What did you think of Brandon interrupting, and like do you think Nate got to him?
I totally think Nate got to him. I think it was unnecessary for him to interrupt because it's like if you wanted to get that off of your chest, you had many hours in the fantasy suite privately to tell Michelle those things. And like he damn knew that there was a rose ceremony coming. So he could have said that to her. And like I think it was also like he had both the benefit and like the curse that he was first during
Yeah.
fantasy suite. So like he got it all out of the way. Then he was just like sitting there in limbo, just waiting and like having to see the other guys come back and like wait. And you know, that's 2 nights of like waiting till the rose ceremony. And I think that the pressure really got to him. And like I think honestly Nate put it perfectly. Like when you only have one thing left to do in like a game, you throw a Hail Mary. Like, and that's exactly what Brandon did. Like I think he was panicking and he was like, what can I do right now? And you know, again, maybe it was a producer move. Maybe they were like, hey, she might send you home, but if you maybe just say one last thing to her, you know, we
Mhm.
just don't know. But overall, I think it was very unnecessary for him to do that. And like, no, it caused Michelle to break down in tears too, which I was like, okay, if she went into the rose ceremony being like, I'm keeping him, like, why is he freaking out right now? Like, why'd she end up crying? And I really think that, like, her sending Joe home, I think she realized in that moment, like, am I making a mistake here? And I think she got kind of stressed out. So, yeah, really weird moment right there, but I didn't think that it had to happen.
See, I feel like I understand Brandon because he was first, and like Nate totally got to him because Brandon saw the look on Nate's face. Like Nate knew he had it in the bag, and I think Brandon was just like a little bit like, I don't want to call him desperate, but I think it was like his last attempt to just like really make sure Michelle knew that he was there and he wanted to be there. And I ultimately feel like that's what kept Brandon in the game because he wanted it more than Joe did. And I don't, and we can say it's because Joe is more inward and shy. And but at the end of the day, like you gotta get some testosterone and show that you're aggressive, that you want to save your girl and fight for your girl. And at the end of the day, Brandon proved that he really wanted to be there for Michelle. And I just don't feel like Joe did. I feel like he kind of just was too laid back. And yes, it was totally the edit as well, but it was just like Joe's personality just I think wasn't going to be enough for Michelle because she wants someone a little bit bolder, which is why she's so attracted to Nate because he does put himself out there. So I don't think Brandon had to do that, but I think that it helped more than it hurt. And maybe Michelle was just breaking down because she knew she had to send Joe home, and that's what was coming. And maybe she wasn't planning on sending Joe home. I don't even know. But I think that Brandon ultimately, earned his spot in the final two. And Michelle ends up sending Joe home. And Joe says that he's shocked. He was surprised. He didn't see it coming. He was in love. Michelle even said to Joe that she was falling in love with him too on his way out. And then we kind of got to see Joe break down a little bit in the limo on for the exit, because we just don't get that emotion from Joe, because that's who he is. What did you kind of think of Joe's exit?
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to say. Like, it was hard to watch him have zero emotion. And again, like, I know that that's how he was brought up and that's just how he is as a person. But, like, to see Michelle fully breaking down and for Joe to have, like, look at this face. Like, I don't know why it is cracking me up. Like, it just looks like he got in trouble. Like, he knew that he did something wrong or something. Like, this face is like gonna be a meme. Like, it's already becoming a meme also. I've seen it on Twitter already, and it truly does crack me up. Like, I do feel bad for Joe in a way, but I'm like, come on, give us something. Like, and he was dead silent too, and she was just like, I'm falling in love with you. I'm still falling in love with you. Like, you will, like, I'll always have a soft spot for you, something, whatever she said. And he's just like, has that like deer in headlights face. And I'm just like, Joe, like, you literally, like, did you even care? But like, I know he did. And again, I know
Some people
hello,
deal with
like,
emotions. Yeah, some people deal with emotions differently. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people get
right.
silent when they're really upset. So, I mean, we definitely
Yeah.
want to, pour one out for Joe. Like, we love you, Joe. Like, we hope that your heart is healed. If it doesn't work out with whoever Michelle picks, you're not too far away. You're only in Minnesota, so you still have a chance. So, we definitely hope to see Joe on Bachelor in Paradise this summer. I totally think he'll be there. I think he'd be great there.
Yes.
And we definitely, enjoyed him throughout the season. And, we do think he's a good guy. So we will miss you, Joe. But it was your time. And next week is the finale. So we're going to start going over the clips, the trailer, the teaser for next week. It's going to be dramatic. It's going to be 3 hours. Before we do that, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to our channel if you have not. Ring the bell so you never miss out. We're always covering Bachelor, Bachelor Nation, all things pop culture news here on Shared News. And make sure you guys go follow us over on Twitter at Shared News. We've had some viral tweets recently. Our host, Gabby, runs our Twitter, and she is absolutely hilarious. She's so in the know. And I mean, Twitter is just such a fun way for Bachelor Nation to interact. So at Shared News on Twitter, go check us out. Let's start getting into these clips. We have 2 guys left, Brandon and Nate. It's gonna be dramatic. It is the last week of the year, and then we got the Christmas, we got holidays. So we want to bang, we want an engagement. So let's start looking over these clips.
When you're in love with 2 people, how do you know which person is your person?
Michelle's journey of love comes to a dramatic conclusion.
Gianna, are you excited for the season to end?
Yes, I'm excited. I mean, not that I'm like sick of it, but I am a little sick of it, honestly. I'm excited to just see how this plays out, because I'm so, like, I think that we can all say that we all think it's going to be Nate, but I'm curious to see if, it is dramatic and there's a shocking twist. Like, I'm so curious. I've seen no spoilers. I have been avoiding the spoilers, so I do not know what's happening. And yeah, I want to say I'm thankful that it's ending right before Christmas, because I'm already stressed as it is, running around trying to buy presents and then coming home and watching this episode and then, having to talk about it and keep up with everything. It's been a whirlwind of a week. So I'm just like excited for it to end, and I'm excited to get another break before clean season. So yes.
Well, we'll just have 1 week off before Clayton season. So I hope everyone enjoys the holidays. because we will miss you guys while we are all, celebrating Christmas and everything. But I mean, I just need this season to end because I'm just dying to know what's going to happen. I feel like it almost could have ended this week because, like, it was just kind of, now it's getting a little predictable and, like, there really wasn't much drama to play out. But, like, the finale is always dramatic and will always be crazy. And, like, after the final rose, the parents, like, there's going to be a lot going on. The engagement, like, next week's going to be insane. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what goes down. So let's keep watching. And let's start, getting these clues and seeing how the boys, get along with Michelle's parents.
I found my forever person, and all I think about is sharing my life with her.
There's nothing else I want more in the world than Michelle.
Aw, I mean, Brandon, I don't want to see him get his heart broken. And, like, maybe Michelle will still pick him. Like, there still is a lot of people pulling for Brandon. And, like, we're not going to count him out yet. And Brandon also has a little bit of an advantage, I think, because he already met Michelle's parents when they were in Minnesota and there was that hot tub scene. So he does have a little bit of a leg up. And didn't he already ask for their blessing and they said yes?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, before hometowns, I mean, Brandon met Michelle's parents, and he did ask that question, if it were to happen, could I do it? And they said totally. So I'm really excited to see what happens with him. I don't want to see him get his heart broken though either. Like, I am just so nervous. Like, I don't want to see him upset because he's so cute and wholesome. And, like, he even said, like, there's nothing I want more in the world than Michelle. Like, I would die to have a guy think that about me. Like, where's my guy thinking that? Like, that is so cute of him. And then Nate's just like, I found my forever person. Like, that the two voiceover clips they said there were very different, and you could tell Brandon is, like, ready to go. Like, he is gonna pounce down on one knee if he can,
Well, that's why they're, like, setting him up for heartbreak, because they want to see him get heartbroken. But I mean, if Nate gets heartbroken, that'll be fun to watch him too, because Nate will be surprised and, like, it'll just come out of nowhere. Let's keep watching, because I think Nate might have a little bit of beef with the parents. I think they might be concerned.
I don't want to go through life without you.
My concern is that he would become a jealous person.
I am very ready to get down on one knee.
Ooh la la. If we can rewind the clip a little bit to the frame, we need to see what Michelle's dad was wearing, because when he's talking, so he has this shirt on and then he's talking to, I believe, Brandon right there. That's the same shirt. Okay, so it looks like Michelle's dad is going to be concerned about Brandon being ready. And then Michelle's mom is going to be concerned about Nate. Either way, they're both concerned. How do you think these conversations are going to go?
I just think it's interesting that Michelle's dad said, I'm concerned that he's going to be a jealous person. Because it's like, what was that conversation? Like, what were they talking about? Like, and if he's talking about Brandon, I can totally see that, just because of, like, how in love and, again, obsessed, like, Brandon is with Michelle. Like, I can totally see him being like, who's that man? Like, what are you doing with that guy? So I'm interested to see how that plays out. And then Michelle's mom saying to Nate, like, he's like, no, I'm ready. And she's like, are you though? Like, I love the fact that she said that to him. It's so, like, I love that she's pressuring him,
She
because
needs to make sure.
again, like, yeah, this is a reality show. It's like, you guys just met. Like, are you ready to get engaged forever? Like, for real. Like, I love, like, that she's like, hello, like, Earth to Nate, do you hear yourself talking type of thing. So I can't wait to see both of these conversations play out. It's always fun to see, like, the contestants'
Well, then let's keep watching. Let's keep watching. We have, like, 4 more clips to go through. There's going to be a lot more to say, so let's roll the next one.
I'm not sure you're 100% in. Do you feel like he's ready for engagement?
To be honest, no.
So that was the blue shirt, which was the same shirt that she wore when she was talking to Nate. So Michelle's mom does not think Nate is ready for an engagement. Do we think Michelle and Nate have to get engaged if she picks him? Like, can't they just leave boyfriend and girlfriend? Like, Matt James didn't get engaged.
Yeah, I that's a possibility, and I think it could happen, but I just feel like Nate is gonna want to propose, even though
Me
everyone's telling him
too.
he's not ready, and he's probably not ready, because that's been like his storyline the whole time, like, is he ready type of thing. So uh, I wish that life could be simple and she could go through this process and just be like, "Hey, I found a good boyfriend." But I really think that they might get engaged, and I don't know how long it'll last. But I'm stressed.
Yeah, it's gonna be stressful for Michelle. I mean, she's the one that's crying, Gianna. You're fine. You're home on your computer. Michelle is breaking down over her
Sorry.
mom telling her that the guy she's in love with. Gianna, have a little bit of sympathy for Michelle. She has been through so much this
No,
season. She's
sorry.
down to two men. Like I want her to find her happy ending, and it's not going to be an easy road. We have 3 more clips to go through, so let's see what else is gonna throw our way at the finale.
I deserve to be in a relationship where someone loves me as much as I love them.
Here I am, madly in love with you, and it is
And it is scary, he is about to say. And is that the emotions you're supposed to feel when you're in love? Gianna, do we know this? Do we need to call up our love coach friends?
I mean, I am not in a relationship, but I know that like being in love is definitely, I guess, a scary thing. Like you shouldn't feel terrified, but you should be like, "Ooh, this is like exhilarating type of scary, like being on a
Mm-hmm.
roller coaster." In
Gotcha.
like especially when, there's an engagement around the corner. Yeah, he has every right to be scared. I think that Nate's feelings are valid in this scenario.
Yeah, I'm getting anxiety right now just watching it. I'm really like putting myself in Nate's shoes. I'm like, no wonder he's nervous. Like for being getting engaged is scary, especially like with The Bachelor on such a public platform. Because if it doesn't work out, you know what's gonna happen. I mean, Zach and Tayshia didn't work out, and like they can't even catch a break. So I mean, Nate just really wants to make sure, and Michelle probably too, that if they do get engaged, that it's for reals. So I understand why he's nervous, but he should be happy too because Michelle definitely really likes him. And, it's going to be, I just can't wait to see what happens. Okay, 2 more clips. Let's roll the next one.
terrifying.
There's nobody else in this world who I'd rather give my heart to.
This could be it for me.
Whoa. So there is a ring. So we need to kind of go back to that image with the ring and the finger because it looks like they're both going to go up to Michelle like for the thing because sometimes they break up with the person like in the room so that they don't have an engagement ring or anything, but it's possible that both of them could propose and then she could say no or stop one of them. Those are definitely Brandon's hands, right?
Do you think I was gonna ask like whose hands are those? Like now I'm gonna run to his Instagram and like zoom in on every photo that shows his hands ever, and like it looks like he has a little scar on one of his hands near the thumb, so that's a good indication for all of our Bachelor Nation stalkers out here.
That could be
It just reminds
Brandon.
me of like it
Look at
could
the
be
thumb. His
Brandon.
thumb
They're
is
not
twisted like
showing
that.
the editors have learned their lesson because remember Paradise when they were showing the ring, it was literally Kenny. Like you could see his tattoos, you could see his sleeves, you
Yeah.
could see everything. Like I think that they maybe watched one of our videos recapping and being like, "Hey, you ruined the season, Bachelor in Paradise." Like now we know. So I think they took notes. I think they really took our opinions into consideration because we can't see his sleeves or anything. But that ring is stunning. That's a fat ring, fat, beautiful teardrop ring. I think it's amazing.
And it's probably promising that she's getting engaged if we're seeing a ring. Because why else
I
would they
think
have
I
a ring? That's not Neil Lane's hands. That's not Tayshia's hands. Like, it's definitely Brandon or Nate's.
It's happening, and I love that you also say it's a possibility for both of them to propose because I feel like with Brandon, I feel like he will not let her break up with him. Honestly, like I feel like he's gonna be like, "Nope, I'm on one knee, and you better say yes." Like
Oh my
he's not
God.
gonna want to go.
I think we have one more clip. And let's see what that is. Or is that all we have? Mista. Let's see. Okay, one more.
It's the shocking conclusion you'll never expect.
This is the hardest decision.
See, that's what is confusing is that like she's clearly breaking down. Like, what am I doing? So it's like it's not like it's just going to be a happy ending and someone's going to propose. Like she's having an anxiety attack. Like clearly she's freaking out. What could she possibly be freaking out over? And those waves are it's not a good day at sea.
I mean, she looks like when I say reality slaps people in the face, like it did in this very exact moment that we're freezed on right now. Like she's like, what am I doing? Like truly, what am I doing? So I understand that breakdown. Like I don't think she's like upset or gonna like just be like, you know what, call the whole thing off. Like I don't even know why I did this show to begin with. I think she's genuinely just like, what is happening? Like I'm actually getting engaged right now. Like am I making the right decision? I just met all of these guys. I think like her life is just flashing before her eyes. Like she looks scared. Honestly, she looks scared. She looks anxious, nervous, all the feelings that a normal person getting engaged would feel, only like she just met these guys months ago and it's been a crazy process on camera, and like it's just not a normal experience for a human to have when getting engaged to somebody. So I think
I
reality
mean,
is just
unless
hitting
she's
her in that
freaking
moment.
out over breaking up with someone, but it's like the words are, what am I doing? So, like, what does that mean? What is she doing? She's about to get engaged. Like, she looks happy. Like, I don't know why it's. Maybe this is why you have to break up with the second place guy, like, the day before. So you don't break up with them right before the proposal. But something is dramatic is going to come. Like, this is Michelle's first true breakdown of the season. You know, we saw her upset last night. We saw her a little upset earlier in the season. But this is the first time we're seeing her cry. So that's, or that maybe the second time. But this is obviously the most serious. So, I mean, what are your final thoughts? And then we'll have to just, you know, hear what our listeners think.
I think it's gonna be Nate. I think that's too easy though, and they say it's a dramatic thing you'll never see, so it could be Brandon. But like, I think
But why
I
is
like
she
to roll
crying?
with the idea that it's. I just, like I said, I think she's freaking out. I really do think that she's about to get engaged, like for sure, for sure, for sure. And she's just freaking out. We see this happen all the time. I feel like these previews that are right before the finale, they show the lead having a breakdown, and it looks like they're just not getting engaged, and then they end up getting engaged. So I really think it's going to happen. I think, you know, maybe both of them will show up and just fight to the death. I don't know what's gonna. That would be funny. It turns into like an episode of Survivor or something.
Oh my
I don't
God.
know. I really don't know. I just think it's gonna be Nate, period. And Brandon's gonna be really heartbroken, like really, really heartbroken. And then she's gonna freak out and be like, did I just make the right decision? But at the end of the day, it's gonna be Nate and everything's gonna be fine. And then they're gonna have their little post in front of a Christmas tree and whatever.
Well, I am just looking forward to seeing what goes down. I think she's probably going to have that breakdown after she breaks up with someone or right before she breaks up with most likely Brandon. And it's just going to be really hard for her to kind of process that because she knows how heartbroken he's going to be. And I'm hoping for a happy ending. I'm hoping her and Nate will be engaged and we'll see after the final rose and everything will turn out great. And this season will be a success because like the last few Bachelorette seasons have not been a successful love story, but they have been juicier. This season was a little slow. So this episode promises to be dramatic. We see it in the teaser. We're looking forward to next week, and we want to hear from you guys. What do you think is going to go down? Let us know your thoughts on Fantasy Suites and your predictions for next week's finale in the comments below. And before you guys go, subscribe to our channel, ring the bell so you never miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Zachary Reality, joined by the lovely Gianna Gravelisi. Our social handles are on the screen right now. Come over, say hello, and we will see you guys in the next one. See you later, guys. Thank you all for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.